Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this session. My name is Davide Deiana. I'm from Base Life Science. I'm heading the advisory for the content domain. And today with you, we would really like to discuss where are we in terms of the content personalization in the pharma industry. Are we ready? And really, what is critical right now in this hot topic, you can say. So we really would like to discuss today with Evelyne. Tiana, I will give you the chance, of course, to introduce yourself. Evelyne.
Yes, thank you, everyone. So thank you also for having this topic, which I think is quite interesting to approach today. So I'm from Pharma Swiss. I'm a digital marketing manager at the Swiss affiliate.
Tiana, thanks.
Yeah. Hello again, I'm Tiana. I'm from Abbott. I'm responsible for marketing excellence, where actually the base of customer engagement fits.
And my name is Luca Morreale. I'm the head of customer engagement in Base Life Science.
Thank you. So perhaps let me just say a few words on the topic where we see. So, of course, within the pharma industry, we all know that the focus on the compliance part, especially if we think, right, the famous MLR or infamous, let's say, MLR process, has in a way always reduced the ability to provide, you can say, that high volume of content that is really necessary if you compare to the other industry where content personalization, you can say, is a thing and is well established. So that to produce that volume in the timely manner that is necessary, right? And so what I would like to discuss perhaps is it's really to enable that, all right, in the pharma industry. What is really what are really the keystones or the key important factors that we need to address and understand where we are on those points in order to have the content readily available for distributing in all the channels within the omnichannel strategy that we know that we all want to achieve. So we know that personalization is a journey, right? So where do you see the industry in this journey? What are the key points that needs to be taken right now? Perhaps we can start.
I can start. I think,
Tiana, yeah.
I think for me, I just want to speak about what personalization means to me at first. Right?
That's
because
good.
I think there are a lot of people that ask what personalization means, and people say I was receiving an email with my name. I think for me goes much beyond that, because not necessarily personalization is saying mail on your name, say dear Tiana, right? It's about what is the time that I'm receiving this message. What is the channel that I'm receiving this message? It could be that I don't want to receive any mail at all, and I still want to have personalized content from a different way. So I think before we speak about personalization of content, I think it should be very clear what personalization means to our customers. And that's all about what they want to receive, what time they want to receive, and how they want to receive. And then if you think about this, for me, to be able to deliver personalization, you need to have a proper strategy how to do this. And for me, it all starts by the time that you're creating your brand planning. So by the time that you say, I want to deploy my brand strategy for those customers, for us to be able to have better access to patients, for example, or to have better information to serve patients, what is the journey that for that given segment, you're going to go through it to enable them to have the access to that information. And at that moment is when you start defining your content planning. Is at that moment that you start defining your content strategy, because then you start understanding the needs of the customers, how do you want to address your overall content strategy and brand strategy, and so that you can actually brand personalization.
Okay, so you think that perhaps we are not really at that?
We are not there yet. I think we still do a lot on demand. To say, I want to address the efficacy of the new drug, so I connect with an agency, I design a campaign, and I launch in the market. But I feel that we still have to do better on our content strategy and content planning.
So really bring you can say the content design upstream.
Upstream to your process, absolutely, yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, that also we see. Evelyne, what is your perspective on the topic here?
Yeah, so I hear quite a lot, and I think many people already said that in previous sessions that we're not there yet, that we're not ready to do these personalized contents. But come to think of it, it's 2023, right? So if we're not ready now, then when should we be ready? Do we have to wait again 5-10 years to get ready for this? So I think, and yes, it's a long process, and you have to involve a lot of stakeholders in it, and you have to really know how to personalize it for the HCPs, for the patients as well. So I'm speaking now a bit more from the market perspective, because we're really there, in the process of content creation with the medical, with the marketing teams, and we're really trying to reduce the time to market as well. So what we see now when we come to create the content for the patients, but also for the HCPs, and here when we speak about this time-consuming process, is that we also speak and we also think, let's spend some time together, let's put it together, let's put all the pieces, that way we can save some time before actually put it in the review and approval process, which I know it's quite a headache for most of us here when we hear about MLR. But also what we have seen is that if we create, for instance, a bulk of content right from the start, right, and then once we have it approved, we can just start to dissect it into the specific formats, into specific, for specific audiences. So that kind of also saves some time from our side to make it a bit more personalized based on the insights we get from the data, but also from the sales force as well. So we're really trying to get as many points out there to personalize it the best way we can, and also to optimize this along the way. So even if it's out there created, it doesn't mean that we stop there, but we also optimize along the way.
That's a very good point. Luca, so we heard that the critical points are, first of all, at the very source, right, at the marketing strategy, right, along the way of the journey, improvements. What is your perspective? What are the critical points that you see needed within the journey?
Yeah, and I'll assume that we have a strategy. But assuming you have a strategy, right, we know that personalization is essentially matching your content with your profile, right? So that means you will have to create more content, as you mentioned, right, as well. So step one will be to ensure that your MLR process is as streamlined as possible. Also that you have that communication with your MLR stakeholders, right, in the sense that they must be ready to know what's coming their way, right? And then on top of that, because it's great to have the content, but if you're not able to match it, right, you won't be able to personalize. So that means that on your content side, and that's a little bit what we discussed in the previous panel, you must have the right taxonomy, right? It's the tags, it's the metadata, and everything that goes with it must be ready for you to link with your HCP. And that's the two key stepping stones, because if you don't have those two, it won't be possible to just link it with the HCP, and it won't be, even if you have a great marketing strategy, it won't be possible to just be achieved.
Yeah, definitely. So really the management of, you can say, of the entire taxonomy of content, but also like the profiling information that we need to probably better at in the industry at how to collect, of course, with all the critical factors that we have in pharma around that, right, in the way that we can collect, etc. Actually, to reconnect potentially on what we have heard before about AI and the impact that may have in the personalization. What is your perspective in the role of you can say automation or the use of artificial intelligence within the personalization? Tiana, perhaps.
I think AI came to help, right? But again, I don't think AI should be our goal. I think technology is an enabler of our business processes. So for us to really deliver content at scale with personalization and valuable, we have to work in our business processes, and we have to work in defining our proper strategy. I think I agree that we can leverage technology to have a better tagging or a faster approval process or a faster beauty of our content if you actually transition to the modular content. But again, that for me, it's a way to deliver. And I'd like to give a very tangible example that actually happened very recently with us. It's all about, and that's what I mentioned about the content strategy and the content planning. So we work a lot with emerging markets, and one of our emerging markets, actually, we are dealing with a human health product about miscarriage and menstrual disorders in Saudi Arabia. Most of our doctors are men. Most of our patients, female. The conversation doesn't work because of a kind of social taboo. So it doesn't matter if I deliver the best efficacy content ever for the doctor. He will never be able to open the communication with the patient. So actually, we had to redefine our content strategy. So we actually had to understand what are the social implications that we had to address, what are the social responsibilities I had to address to really provide better lives to women. So we had to tailor our content differently. And that's why I keep saying it's about all your content strategy. It's all about your business process to get it approved. Yeah. So the whole strategy was actually to provide better access to the treatment to women in need and open the right communication from a doctor perspective without addressing this as a problem, right? So I do feel that AI is going to come and help by the time they're able to tag this content differently, by the time they're able to identify the right modules to compose those messages, but the strategy has to be ready, and the strategy and your main objective on patient outcomes should be also ready.
That's very good example, I would say, on the differences of audience, right, and how the strategy must change drastically to cope with that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Evelyne, in that perspective of the artificial intelligence role, what is your
So I definitely agree with Tiana here that it will definitely help us to enable the process, that it will help us, to reduce time of the creation itself. But that doesn't mean that it will actually replace our medical team, that it will replace our marketing team. So I see it, yes, to help us in some way, but not to actually, remove the whole process that we currently have. From my side, and we actually tested different platforms because we wanted to see to which extent this, content generation can be helpful for our audiences. And we've seen it that, yes, it's nice the way it's being created, and it's very fast, and it's very easy, to communicate out there. However, it doesn't mean that you actually have to copy-paste the same thing.
Of course,
otherwise you get the fire blocked by Google algorithm there. So in the end, you also need, even if you have like this, nice content created there, you still have to review it internally, and you still have to adapt it to your audiences, and you still have to somehow enable it for different channels in different formats as well. So again, it could be helpful. We're testing it. We see how it goes. We optimize it. We see what feedback we get, etc. We see it with the sales force as well. So why not? But again, it's not there to replace the whole process that we currently have. It's really just to enable a bit of the time to create it.
That's very good point. Definitely also the regulations clearly specify that it must be a person that they must approve, right, and sign off. So it's going to be quite difficult to overcome that. It's
internal process, but it's also market challenges as well. So as most probably here know Switzerland, so it's quite restrictive. So you can't just blur it out there as much as you want to. So in the end, you really have to do to stick with the restrictions and regulations of the market itself. But nevertheless, in Switzerland also, the way we see it, and when we did this testing of the content, was also that each region is different, right? So we have different mindset as well, different audiences. So again, it will just enable the time, but not replace the whole process.
Yeah, that's good. Luca, perhaps, so where in the journey AI will it, be extremely effective? Is it the assembly of the modules, right? The modular content was kind of hot topic.
I think coming to Evelyne's comment, right, it's going to depend the region, right?
Right,
Some region will have different approach, right? There are kind of three buckets. There is like the assembly part, right, where we can see something. There is the support of the review. I agree, approval will be mandatory, but maybe we can help on the review. And then there is the distribution, right? As you mentioned, if the doctor needs help to discuss with his patient, that's what we should provide him. So there is a distribution component. If we look at the assembly creation, yes, maybe modular, maybe not modular, just a way to speed up the creation, maybe through reuse, but a way to build that assembly. Coming back to the taxonomy I was mentioning before, right? You need a good taxonomy in order to assemble properly the content together. So let's see. Once you have the taxonomy, maybe you'll be able to assemble properly. We see in the industry some sparks here and there. That some companies are starting to view that. On the reviewer side, right, anything that can help the reviewer, whether it's similarity, whether it's the component that are in there, could help. So definitely having AI tools could support, speed up that process, coming back to the fact that there will be more, and that it's mandatory, right? So you need to find a way to cope or to balance those two components. Then finally, in terms of distribution, yes, if we want to give at the right time, the right content, probably for some channel at least, it may be better than a human. A human can be really good at that, right? I think there are some personalized channels, should I say, where there is a human in between. That's fine, but there are some channels where you have no human, and definitely that's where probably AI can do some magic. Let's call it like that.
Yeah, definitely. Perhaps I would like to leave a couple of minutes. I know we are about to close the session. I would like to leave a couple of minutes to the audience to ask for questions, perhaps wrapping up a little bit. So it is clear that within the journey, we have work still to do at the very in the very upstream part of it, and really embed the personalization of content as a strategic element of the brand strategy, of the marketing strategy, right? And then the different, of course, in the journey optimization that can come both in the MLR, in the distribution, in the taxonomy, of course, as we've seen before, in terms of tagging. Those aids can definitely provide that support. Great conversation. Perhaps I would like to give the opportunity in the audience if there is any question or any topic for the panelists. I don't really see.
I think you have one.
Hey, how are you guys? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hello.
A bit too loud. So in my experience, actually, like everyone's talking about GPT-4 and personalized content, how you sort of like put the F name there, so hey, Evelyne, hey, Tiana, and so on, right? Which is, you realize that it's automated right away, which makes it like less personalized, so you're like, well, I'm not gonna accept that LinkedIn invite, or I'm not gonna read that email. So in my experience, content has to be more relevant than personalized. So it has to be more up to like what you want to hear from that person or that organization, the topics you want to listen about, and so on. How do you approach this, like relevancy in your organizations, or maybe you can talk about some ideal scenarios how that could work? Thanks.
Oh, thanks for the question. Let me take this one. I fully agree with you. That's why I started in the beginning saying what personalization means to me, right? I don't think personalization is an email with your name on it. I think it goes much beyond that. It's really about how to bring value. And that's where I feel personalization plays a big role. And for us at Abbott, what we really try to understand is which are the needs that we're trying to address from a doctor perspective to create better access to patients, and also from a patient perspective, right? So the example that I just gave from Saudi Arabia, the whole personalization came on the relationship that we wanted to unlock between the patient that was not comfortable about opening the discussion with the doctor, and giving information to the doctor to be able to promote this type of dialogue, how he would address the need of a woman patient in a society that was a taboo to be addressed. So I think that I call personalization, because it's all about understanding the needs of patients and doctors and be able to provide the right content. And it didn't have a name tag on it, right? So it's all about how to bring and combine the needs of a society of a given segment. And for that, you have to work together with the countries. I also don't believe that global gonna fix all the problems and deliver all type of content to countries. Because you should be able to address the specificity of each of those countries to be able to understand the main challenges and be able to then tailor your right content. Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you very much for your presentation. My question is, personalization also is about the content being in the language of a person. And I'm curious, like, from one of the most compelling use cases for us has been integrating translational capabilities into our CRM, for example, and our systems. Have you guys explored that, and how successful has that been for you?
So I could
Yeah,
try.
perhaps Switzerland with the language is quite a
Yeah,
challenge.
yeah, exactly. So it's not like, we're using probably like in most countries just one language for all the content development. But for us, it's also quite challenging to see, what makes sense, to put to create out there. And for us, it's also challenging having these two languages itself. So when I look at the content that's being developed on all these platforms, and basically it's just a collection of information, right? So they just pick up what it's right, and then they provide like descriptor or whatever. That doesn't mean that we're applying this, or we know that this is best use for our customers, that we can actually, translate it into the materials we create, etc. However, what we're trying to understand is how we can, take in some information that's out there, but also we're looking a bit more into the data that the consumers are searching as well. So we're trying to see how this then fits, and how we can then, do the planning, the tagging, etc., that it goes into the CRM. However, again, it's really challenging to actually take this platform creation content and say, yes, this is the solution, this is how we're going to do it, and this is how we're going to implement.
Thank you. I believe we need to close the session as time's up, but you're more than welcome to join us outside. Myself and Luca, I have a booth, or come and mingle with us all. Okay, thank you very much for being here.
Thank
you.
Thank you, David.